How's it going, y'all?
And welcome back to Vibros. We return with WandaVision episode 3 review.
We actually weren't planning to have back-to-back reviews for WandaVision. We expected to have one for the first 2 episodes and then the last one, as we were not really hyped for the show. However, we now admit that we underestimated Kevin Feige and the MCU.
The show is getting intense and our questions are not getting answered, but they're multiplying.
We're 100% sure they put unexplainable events just to mess with us. Like, what the hell was her doing the entire episode?
We have little to explain, some to summarize, and a lot to question and theorize.
Now, without further ado, let's get into the full breakdown. We're in the 70s, there are colors now, the setting has changed, the houses are renewed, the cars are new, and the clothes are definitely interesting.
And even though there's this massive change that literally happened overnight, no one has a problem with it. Everyone continues their life like nothing is going on.
We have to be totally honest, as people in their late 10s, we don't get old references, it is literally impossible. What we can tell about this episode is that it looks like the Mary Tyler Moore Show and the Brady Bunch.
We are not really the people to point out the old Easter eggs naturally.
This episode is all about Wanda's pregnancy and childbirth. We know that in less than 24 hours, she passes through every stage of pregnancy. As Vision says, the baby, or should we say babies, are 9 months early.
We are in Wanda's reality, a pregnant Wanda's reality. So she probably wanted the boring 9 months to pass as quickly and painless as possible.
Of course, Wanda and Vision are not a normal couple, and they had a weird pregnancy other than the fast forward parts. Wanda influenced her surroundings in each stage of her pregnancy.
It was very interesting how the start of the birth is represented with a stork. She definitely has an The sitcom style of Wanda's pregnancy stage was all fun, but it was the least important thing we saw in this whole episode.
After people finding out about many secrets of Wanda and Vision but it all being okay, Vision's mysterious chat with Agnes and Herb, and of course, Geraldine and Wanda's spooky conversation. This episode, Wanda's and Vision's abilities evolved and we saw things we never really saw before.
The main one is Vision's speed. He never ran like the Flash, or should we stay in Marvel and save Quicksilver before?
Wanda definitely added his abilities into Vision as he had no sign of super speed previously.
Wanda affecting her reality around, as we mentioned before, is also new.
We stood upon in our last video that Westview, the name of this small town, was an artificial place, and somehow Wanda wound up living in a dream scenario with Vision. We are still not sure about how she came here, but we are seeing more and more creepy stuff.
First of all, the town is shrinking. If you look closely, you don't even have to look closely, it is quite out there. The background is literally fake. The place looks so much smaller than it used to look. We can link this with the outside world that we see in the end of the episode.
If you remember, last episode, the Westview sign used to be a part of Wanda's world, but this time it is outside.
We believe Sword is containing the reality Wanda is in.
But we don't know whether they put her there.
The doctor mentions how he cannot leave the town.
Small towns, so hard to escape.
We know he has no choice. He cannot leave unless Wanda allows him.
In this episode, Vision gets close to finding out what's going on through many conversations he has with Wanda and Herb and Agnes.
In the middle of the episode, he has a dangerous conversation that makes Wanda rewind the reality again. He is already suspicious about the whole pregnancy, and then he starts asking questions to Wanda.
People in Westview are always on the verge of discovering our secret, but it's more than that, isn't it? Mr. and Mrs. are at dinner, outside with Herb. Something's wrong here, Wanda.
Rewind.
Then, later in the episode, Vision is close to understanding what is going on from Herb before Agnes prevents him to tell anything.
She came here because we're all...
What, Herb? What? Fake? Dead? What? Before we get an answer...
Stop it.
Thanks, Agnes.
There is a possibility that everyone inside actually lived in Westview before and they are trapped inside.
Or, this is just an imagination of Wanda and they were people Wanda used to know. We know that this is true, at least with Vision. Everyone knows there is something wrong here, but they cannot tell because of some reason. In this scene, Agnes mentions how Geraldine does not have a home and how she's always alone. But the reality is we never see Agnes in her home, or we never see her husband Rolf that she always mentions.
She is the one preventing Herb and seems to know quite a lot. We still believe, as we mentioned in our previous video, Agnes or Agatha Harkness could be the key here.
She can be the one that traps Wanda in this reality.
At this exact time Vision has this conversation with Herb and Agnes, Wanda is with Geraldine next to the twins.
Fun fact about the twins, Tom and Billy, in Marvel Comics, they are also Wanda's children and their superhero names are Wiccan and Speed.
Also, the reason why we think Wanda has twins or dreamed of having twins is because of her brother, and also this is a long shot, but if you remember, Vision was upset for not seeing the childbirth, and Wanda might have brought a second one just for him to see.
Speaking of twins, Wanda realized she's a twin and then mentions Pietro. After hearing about Pietro, Geraldine's mind is open for a second and she asks Wanda about Ultron.
What a mistake.
We already expected Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau, to be an outsider, and we understood that she was sent here by Sword. This is definitely proven to us in this episode with the necklace.
Now, theory time.
We believe when you enter this world, you lose the sense of reality and your memories, unless there is something to trigger it, kind of like a dream or a nightmare.
In this case, strong emotional connection triggered the chain of thoughts. Wanda's children to twins to Pietro to Ultron.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Once Wanda hears about Ultron, she freaks out. Her accent changes back to Sokovian, and she starts asking questions to Geraldine.
We don't know what exactly happens to Geraldine in Wanda's world, but she's sent back to the real world. Vision gets back inside and everything is normal again.
Except that it isn't.
The screen changes from 1-1 to 16-9 and we are in the real world with Geraldine.
The Sword agents are around her, armed.
This means they are expecting a threat? Why?
This is our first question.
Did Wanda go berserk before going into this reality? If so, then it makes sense that Sword is armed. They want to be ready to face her when she's out, or they think they are ready.
There's also potential that they are armed for a threat other than Wanda. We know people are scared from what they do not know.
We can also see some sort of a force shield and inside is Wanda's world.
We were pretty certain Wanda was the one creating the reality, but seeing this area makes us wonder whether Sword is the one containing Wanda.
It's not an ideal way of dealing with the situation, but we know Nick Fury is capable of such things. Also, we know they sent Geraldine in, so they definitely had one way of getting in there.
This doesn't prove that Sword is behind all this, but it is a possibility. They might have wanted to send one person in to view the inside and maybe see what is going on with Wanda.
This also makes us wonder whether Geraldine, or we can call her Monica from now on, had a way of communicating with the outside world.
We saw a person watching Wanda's world from the TV. Maybe Monica installed some devices to make this possible. We still did not rule out the potential third party like Agnes trapping Wanda in this reality. So there are three possible explanations.
Wanda has gone crazy and she is contained by Sword or herself to live in a dream world. Wanda wanted to escape from her trauma and possible depression and create a perfect life, and Sword wants to get her out, or Wanda is trapped by someone or something.
When we start thinking about why Wanda is where she is and link our points, we come up to a dead end.
Every possible scenario is plausible but doesn't completely make sense or has missing pieces in it.
We need to have more information from the next episodes to understand who is doing this to Wanda. What an episode. We are getting deeper into the story and things get creepier.
Did you recognize the 80s song by the Monkees?
They didn't believe her.
Name fits the description of the show.
We think we won't really understand what is going on until like the last 3 episodes.
Till then, we will have more clues and a lot more questions. First, we will go on to the 80s and then the 90s and so on. And we expect to see more intensity as we go along.
How will Wanda get out? Maybe Sword will rescue her.
No, that's not good enough. We expect Doctor Strange to end this madness, get it?
We'll find out later.
So thank you for watching, we hope you enjoyed it. For now,
B-Bros out.